Today's video is going to be about Author Sunday. So what is Author Sunday, you're probably wondering? Well, it's going to be where I share with you something along the lines of me being an author and what that's like, and kind of vlogging with you all just a little bit, letting you all know what it's like to be an author and just different stories about being an author, sharing them with all of you. With that said, let's jump right into the video. Hi guys, and welcome back. So today's video is going to be all about me sharing a story with you, the story of me as an author and what it was like the first time I spoke. To be quite honest, I was super nervous. I didn't think or feel ready at all. I felt extremely nervous. I'm not a public speaker. You may see me on here and think I'm completely outgoing, but this is actually kind of a little bit out of my comfort zone. I've gotten a little bit more comfortable with it, but it really hasn't been the easiest process. But I know that I'm meant to do it, so here I am. But the story is my pastor, about, I want to say back in November, told me about a program that he does every Friday, and that he goes out and speaks to women. And he invited me to come and be a guest speaker and tell my story and share my story with the women in this place. And so I did. And like I said, going into this, I was extremely nervous. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And just slowly over time, as I had time to think and ponder on it and pray about it, obviously God said, yeah, Esther, you need to do it. And I realized that. So I then finally went to him and prepared. The funny thing was, before I went to him, it was on a Sunday morning in church. And I said, okay, God, before the church service started, because I was still apprehensive and not wanting to do it, I said, okay, God, if this is you, if you really want me to do this, then you make the sermon today about it. Thinking, like, what are the odds or chances of that? Well, just so you know, the sermon was exactly that. It was about changing people's lives and bringing a change to those who are in need and need help. And I was like, okay, God, I can't deny what you're asking me to do anymore. Clearly you want me to do this. And so the next Friday I had planned to go and do it. And I'm so glad that I did. I was, again, like I said, super nervous, but I'm so glad that I did. And I prepared for it. I've never done it before, but I kind of got some advice from some people that I know. And I prepared for it. And, you know, I had these bullet points of what I was going to say and how I was going to share my story and testimony. But honestly, I kind of really went off that. I even started crying.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. Because he loves you right where you are. And I had to learn that, and I had to learn that same love from my mom. And learn that even though the addiction kind of ruined my childhood and ruined the things that I went through.
And I had no clue. So I will show you throughout this video some videos of me there in the conference, like this one.
This eulogy, so that you can understand what my thoughts of her were as she passed. She would say she made some mistakes in her life that she wishes she could take back, but really, who wouldn't say that? Any of us could say that. She lived the best way that she could, and she knew how. She raised us and loved us the best way that she knew how. Learns loving is hard, and all of the relationships that we have in our life require hard work. No person is perfect, only perfection is God. And life's not a walk in the park. If you love someone, you have to be willing to forgive and to walk in forgiveness, because without forgiveness, there is no love. As a wise person once told me, you can't get angry or mad at someone that you don't care about. That being said, my mom wasn't the cookie cutter kind of mom that many people have, but she did the best that she could.
Let's just say that it was a very vital experience for me, because I knew that my whole life. Like, I was supposed to write a book, but I never had the courage to do it, or, I always kind of talked about it, and I started it back in 2013. And I've even had people pray over me, different pastors throughout the years, give me words from God saying that my story was meant to reach the nations, and that my story was meant to heal and all of that. But I was like, me, Esther Jones, the girl that, came from nothing, like, why would I be the one you choose to do this? Well, as many of you know, and some of you that could be tuning in that may not know, is that's exactly what God does, is he takes the least of these many times, and I am among the least of these. I am not perfect by any means, and my story isn't perfect either. But within all those broken pieces of how God has restored my life in so many different areas, I was able to bring and share this story. And I knew my whole life that my story had significance, but it was this very moment of going to, for the first time, share and speak and tell my story to these women. And let me tell you, I had women crying their eyes out while I was still speaking. It was a very, very amazing experience to see, wow, like, my story is actually touching lives. My story, I had women after, come up to me and thank me and say, Esther, thank you so much for telling your story. When is your book coming out? I would really love to read it. I want to know the rest of your story. And, giving them hope and telling them the story about how God, some of them related to the mother and daughter relationship, being an addict, and how God restored that relationship between my mom and I before she passed away. That was part of the story that I told. And they were just flabbergasted with the hope that I brought to them in knowing that God can and he does change situations. And that was just a mind-blowing experience for me. And I felt like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't ready. But you know what? Sometimes even when we're not ready, we're never going to be ready. But that's when we humble ourselves and we allow God to use us, is when he uses us in such a great way. And was such an honor to be able to do that. And from that moment on, he really started to stir in my heart and say, Esther, it's time. It's time to really get serious about this. And yet the fact that I've been doing this for very many years, and I've picked it up and put it down and picked it up and put it down, God said it was time. And so just to give you guys a little bit of understanding, that's how this whole journey started. And just slowly but surely, God has just opened one door after another, after another, after another, and just shown me favor in so many ways. I'm so grateful, and I will publicly say I'm so grateful for such an amazing pastor. My pastor, Ruben Cruz, shout out to you. He has been such a great father figure and just a great mentor, to believe in me and to just mentor me and just bring great words to me every Sunday, and just, always just there when needed. And I can't even express how much that means. So it's just been a great journey. And it was such an amazing experience to speak to these women. And that was my key to saying, okay, I need to get this done. I need to write this book, and I need to finish this book. And like I said, God has just done so many things after that, and I'm so grateful for it. And I'm so excited to see what comes next. Like, I'm excited, but kind of scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, God, if I did that, what else am I going to do? Or, what other door are you going to open? It's exciting. And, me being a human, I still want to continue to humble myself, because when I try and get above that, I feel like that's going to take away from what God's doing. And my heart is more to make it less about me and more about him, because he is the reason why I'm where I am, why I've gone through and done the things that I've done. It's all given to the glory of God. And there's no other reason for it. So there's a snippet of what it's like for me being an author. That's kind of the story that gave me the kickstart to really step out and say, it's time. And, my name is Esther, and I was made for such a time as this, as I've been prayed over so many times. So that's also awesome to know that. And it's just such a good feeling to know that I'm living out exactly what God has called me to do. So I just want to encourage you all, if you have things that you feel that you want to do and maybe you're scared to do them, step out. If it's within God's timing and God wants you to do it, he will lay out everything that needs to be done. Everything. Because believe me, sometimes I get down and it's hard and I don't, believe that this is happening, but it's really happening and God's doing something. And all it took was for me to step out in faith. So if you're new here and you would like to subscribe to my channel, or if you've been here, please subscribe right now, okay? And don't forget, this is like my signature thing, I guess now, to ring the bell. Ring the bell, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this inspired someone. Just step out of your comfort zone and God will meet you all the way there if it's what he's called you to do. Thanks for listening.